How would you grade President Biden's foreign policy performance thus far? Joe Biden has been faced with quite a lot of foreign policy issues. Foreign policy issues that he directly affected the outcome of. In Afghanistan, he decided to withdraw. If he hadn't, the result would have definitely been different for better or worse. In Ukraine, he decided to send military and financial aid. If he hadn't, the result would definitely be different now for better or worse. In Gaza, he's being very supportive of Israel. If he went a different direction, the end result could definitely develop differently for better or worse. Ultimately, as president, Joe Biden has had the ability to have significant roles in the outcomes of 3 different foreign policy situations. In light of that, how do you think he's done in that role? Are the outcomes that we've seen in Afghanistan and Ukraine, and what we're likely to see in Israel, outcomes that you support? As president, what would you have done the same or differently? Funding Ukraine has done more to collapse Russia than even policy since the 50s. I think an equally interesting question is, what was the last president that had a better foreign policy performance? I would posit you have to go back at least 50 years. Probably more. Definitely nobody involved in the forever wars. In my opinion, those things were foreign policy boondoggles. Biden didn't choose to withdraw from Afghanistan. The date was set by agreement with Afghanistan before he took office. And though he is supportive of Israel as an ally, he also negotiated aid shipments through Egypt. Some suspect he is encouraging restraint, and that's why there has as yet been no ground invasion. He's pissing off liberals. He's pissing off conservatives. And Fox News Republicans think he's weak. He's probably doing a fantastic job. The problem with a lot of international policy is you don't know how you've been doing until years later. He's had to deal with a lot, controversial or not. He stood with our allies, and Trump betrayed our Kurdish allies after they fought ISIS. I'd give him a solid A. Honestly, the best post-Cold War president to date. I do not think anyone could navigate these challenges that have emerged as well as he has so far. The ability to create grand coalitions and the respect he carries internationally. I'd give him an A. I think he should be more aggressive with his Ukraine policy. No U.S. boots on the ground. Russia is close to financial collapse. He has to be sure the Israelis don't go scorched earth, and reminds them who the enemy is. When the dust settles, Joe has to step on Israel. They keep stealing Palestinian land. Joe gets a solid B. The Afghanistan exit was a disaster. But I'm not entirely sure it would have been successful under any president. Assuming Trump isn't re-elected to hand Eastern Europe to Putin. Biden leading the coalition to support Ukraine and weaken Russia without committing American or NATO troops may be one of the great foreign policy achievements of the WW2 era. Disagreeing with his policies is a fair debate, but Biden has been a very effective commander-in-chief. I am 70 and I think Biden has been the most effective president in my lifetime. Maybe not my favorite, but the most competent. It is better than Trump kissing the behind of Putin and Kim. Trump's performance as our leader was embarrassing. Trump admired the dictators. He hoped to become one. I'm not a Biden fan by any stretch, but I would have to say above average. Probably in the CB range. For reference, most presidents in my lifetime would probably be in the DF range. There have been things I believe were mistakes. But all things considered, it has been a relative step up compared to the past few. In one word, exemplary. He's shown that America can still be a world leader despite all the internal opposition. I'm not American. I speak as an outsider observing. A solid A. The Afghanistan Trump already put a stupid plan and it was already in effect. Everything else foreign policy-wise Biden has been excellent and infinitely better than Trump. Most of our allies hate Trump. The only people who may prefer him are Putin, whose ultimate goal is to destroy the U.S. China. Trump approves their genocide and taking Taiwan, as well as Saudi princes who have deep ties with Kushner. I'd honestly give him an A. He united the free world against Russia, and his advocacy for not only U.S. funding but funding for Ukraine from around the world has seriously weakened Russia. Unlike most people, I think he did a good job getting us out of Afghanistan given the absolute and deliberate mess Trump left him. May Trump rot in hell for that malevolent scheme. I think Biden threading the needle on the Israel-Gaza conflict about as well as can be expected. I can't help but give him an A. If Trump were president, it would be WWIII. Level heads are a must right now. Not grandstanding emotions. He has failed miserably on Israel. Hardcore failed. Getting out of Afghanistan was good though. Better than Trump. Obama, Bush Jr., Clinton, Bush Sr. and Reagan are slightly better, but that is also shaped by circumstances. An abject failure. Ukraine is a mass gravesite, and now he's arming an apartheid state to kill civilians in Gaza. An action that could spark a larger regional conflict. Biden is senile at this point. B to A. He's right on Ukraine. He's right on Israel. Right on the fact that we're in a struggle between authoritarianism and democracy. Right to get the Aussies to buy subs from us instead of the French. I dunno how I feel about Afghanistan, but he loses points for the chaos of the withdrawal, not the withdrawal itself. And he's right about how he feels the US should act in the world generally. If he's made any huge FP blunder, I can't think of it. He's even gotten Venezuela to let us deport their people back there. And that's great too. So, best POTUS on foreign policy this century. Surely. Biden has restored some of the honor our country lost when the parasite rampaged through his 4 years. Where Trump wanted to kill NATO, publicly insulted American troops lost fighting in Europe, sent love letter to Kim Jong-un, and groveled at Putin's feet. OL Joe. Rejoined the Paris Climate Accords. Got us out of Bush's unwinnable Afghan war. Droned al-Zawahiri into oblivion. Freed Brittany Griner. Revitalized NATO. Leading the world's nations against Putin's war against Ukraine. Arranged for 5 U.S. citizens to be freed from Iran. Literally anything positive he's done up to this point doesn't matter anymore. Full-throated endorsement of fucking genocide is not good foreign policy. Full stop. F. Solid F. The sole positive of his foreign policy is he has yet to get us into WW3. Yet. There is no region except perhaps Antarctica that has not declined in peace and or stability since he took office. He's failing in the current conflict in Israel horribly. And I fear it may result in a Republican winning in 2024 and democracy in America as we've known it ending shortly after that. Biden has fumbled Gaza. Otherwise, I think his handling of Ukraine and Afghanistan have been overall positive and some of the best foreign policy decisions I am aware of a president making in decades. The Abraham Accords from the former administration are also very good in my opinion. The Afghanistan withdrawal was a disaster and I believe contributed to the current Hamas attacks. I support his Ukraine response and his stated commitment to Israel. In fact, I think he's been too timid on Ukraine. If we'd given them everything they needed 18 months ago, the war would be over by now. Other than Saudi, pretty good. Calling MBSA murder, while true, was a mistake. Edit forgot about Afghanistan withdrawal. That was terrible. He has the best track record for all of the presidents since my first election in 2008.